live now. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to today's celebration of Golden Jubilee of the birth of Bangladesh. Congratulations to the phenomenal journey that Bangladesh has been going through. Congratulations to the people of Bangladesh and those who are watching us. Many thanks for your support. Many thanks for your help in Gronthee's journey. As you know, the Gronthee is a leading South Asian literary platform here in the UK. It was Bangladesh-centric or Bengali literature-centric organization 30 years ago, but now it is becoming global, and it is promoting the beauty and magnificence of world literature, global literature, through phenomenal art initiatives. Many thanks to all of our supporters who have been supporting its grand initiative, especially the 100 Poets Around the Globe and the Conversation series that we have done We have done quite a few series actually. So one is Conversation series with contemporary writers, philosophers, filmmakers from all across the globe. Many thanks to all of you who share Gronthee's live streaming. Unfortunately, we are doing Facebook or social media live at this moment, but Gronthee's strong point is doing live event, and especially it's the Gronthee International Poetry Festival, which happens in London, is very popular and becoming popular day by day, and hopefully we can bring the poets from all across the world soon again after this COVID in the Gronthee International Poetry Festival. So those who are watching, this is a humble request to all of you, if you kindly share this stream to your timeline and spread the words. I'm sure in this difficult time, the audio, your friends, if you like this, your friends will like it, and then they may find a bit of ventilation through the talk and poetry as part of this celebration of the Golden Jubilee of the birth of Bangladesh. So let me introduce our speakers and poets today. This is an honor to have a pro-people politician, as you know, and the shadow minister for peace and disarmament, a wonderful friend of Bengali culture of Bangladesh. And I'm so honored to have Fabian's support and have him as a friend as well. None other than Fabian Hamilton. Many thanks, Fabian, for joining as part of today's session, and a warm welcome. We also have Professor Dr. Tapadhir, who is a phenomenal poet, joined from India, Assam, who is the former Vice Chancellor of Assam University, a public intellectual. Many thanks, Tapadhir, for joining, and a warm welcome.
Thanks to you.
We also have, we are expecting some more speakers and performers who will be joining shortly. We also have John Fondan, a poet and a playwright. Many thanks, John, for joining, and a warm welcome. And many thanks for your support, actually.
Thank you.
Whenever I ask for support, it's wonderful to see you always come with some sort of suggestion. Thank you.
John, thank you
for the support.
I'm glad to be here.
We also have a highly celebrated poet and an extremely popular poet of Bengal, Bangladesh, the poet of 1960s, poet Nirmolindu Gun. Many thanks, Gunda, for joining.
Adab, namaskar.
Namaskar to you. It will be, I'm sure, it will be again another beautiful session that we had before, and we had so many lovely feedbacks, and you were so bold, talking from heart, and that was admired by so many audiences last time.
There was a poet from Norway.
Exactly, poet from Sweden. Poet from Sweden.
Sweden, Uppsala.
Exactly. We also have a Professor Dr. Geeta Upadhyay, a firm admirer of Indian arts.
Namaskar to Geeta Upadhyay ji and Tapadhir ji.
And a phenomenal ambassador of Indian arts in the West. Professor Dr. Geeta Upadhyay, OB. Many thanks for joining, Geeta ji. And a warm welcome.
Thank you.
We also have our friend, and those who know about Shodha and Radharaman Society, because this event is also supported by Shodha and Radharaman Society. They know Eric Shilanda from the day one, actually. About 10 years ago, we started our journey, and then Eric was always with us, with his help and support and beautiful, extraordinary performance. So Eric is mainly a Schubert vocalist, an actor, and a poet. And today he will be reading a historical poem written by Allen Ginsberg, a phenomenal Beat Generation poet of America. So many thanks, Eric, for joining again. Many thanks for your support and a warm welcome, Eric.
Thank you very much. Joy Bangla.
Great. Oh, Jewel Bhai's video is on. I can see Jewel Bhai now. Many thanks, Jewel Bhai. Jewel Mazhar, a very powerful translator and poet who joined from Bangladesh as part of this celebration of the Golden Jubilee of the birth of Bangladesh. He'll be reading from his poem, from his poetry. So many thanks, Jewel Bhai, for joining, and a warm welcome.
সবাইকে শুভ সন্ধ্যা জানাচ্ছি, দূরের এবং কাছের সব বন্ধুকে, এবং এখানে যারা জয়েন করেছেন আজকে সবার প্রতি আমার প্রাণঢালা অভিনন্দন। জয় বাংলা।
জয় বাংলা।
Many thanks. Thank you very much. Let us start with Shamim. We also have the editor of the Gronthee, Shamim Shahan, but the regular part and parcel of Gronthee's activities. Shahid Mitul also joined today. Thank you, Shahid Mitul, for joining, and many thanks for your support from behind the scene, from the backstage, and a warm welcome.
Thank you.
And the man behind, always stays behind the scene, the editor of the Gronthee, poet Shamim Shahan. Thank you, Shamim Shahan, and a warm welcome.
Many thanks, Kaisar. I would like to congratulate Bangladesh for its 50 years of phenomenal journey in making change, elevating poverty. I pay my respect to Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. I pay my respect to all the freedom fighters. I would like to convey my sincere gratitude to all of our audience and contributors for your tremendous support during all arts initiative. On next Saturday, the 27th of March, the Gronthee is also featuring a great session on Latin American literature. Please come join and share the sessions as you always did. I would like to thank today's poets and speakers, Dr. Professor Tapadhir Bhattacharya is MP, Fabian Hamilton MP, poet Nirmal Dugun, Professor Gita Upadhyay, Obi, poet John Fondan, Eric Sander, poet Joel Mazhar, and our team member Shaheen Mitul for kindly joining this session. Please share the session in your timeline and let your friends have the opportunity to watch this important session. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Shamim Shan. Let us start with a bit of poetry, and let us start with the historical poetry that was written during the Liberation War in Bangladesh in 1971, and that was written by a leading Beat Generation poet of America, Allen Ginsberg. So Eric Shilanda, Eric, if you kindly read perhaps half of this poem now, and then we'll perhaps have the rest afterwards, rest of the poem.
Thank you. Kasher asked me to read this in two parts. It's a long poem by Ginsberg. It's a messy poem. It's one of Ginsberg's biographers said it was a terrible poem that he only wrote to impress Bob Dylan. I think this is very unfair. He was there on the Joshua Road in '71. He was profoundly shocked by what he saw. He wrote, it's more like a song lyrics, and they don't scan often. You could switch verses around and you wouldn't know, but it is a cry from the heart at the horror he felt at things that he saw. Could you mute that sound? And I'll start. Thank you. September on Joshua Road. Millions of babies watching the skies, bellies swollen with big round eyes. On Joshua Road, long bamboo huts, no place to shit but sand channel ruts. Millions of fathers in rain, millions of mothers in pain, millions of brothers in woe, millions of sisters nowhere to go. 1 million aunts are dying for bread, 1 million uncles lamenting the dead. Grandfather, millions, homeless and sad. Grandmother, millions, silently mad. Millions of daughters walk in the mud. Millions of children wash in the flood. 1 million girls vomit and groan. Millions of families hopeless alone. Millions of souls, 1971, homeless on Joshua Road under grey sun. 1 million are dead. The million who can walk towards Kolkata from East Pakistan. Taxi, September, along Joshua Road. Ox cart, skeletons drag charcoal load. Past watery fields, through rain flood ruts. Dung cakes on tree trunks, plastic roof huts. Wet processions, families walk. Stunted boys, big heads don't talk. Look, bony skulls and silent round eyes. Starving black angels in human disguise. Mother squats, weeping, and points to her sons, standing thin-legged like elderly nuns, small-bodied hands to their mouths in prayer. 5 months, small food since they settled there. On one floor mat with small empty pot, father lifts up his hands at their lot. Tears come to their mother's eye. Pain makes Mother Maya cry. 2 children together in palm roof shade stare at me, no word is said. Rice ration, lentils 1 time a week, milk powder for war-weary infants meek. No vegetable money or work for the man. Rice lasts 4 days, eat while they can. Then children starve 3 days in a row and vomit their next food unless they eat slow. On Jeshore Road, mother wept at my knees. Bengali tongue cried, "Mister, please." Identity card torn up on the floor. Husband still waits at the camp office door. Baby at play. I was washing the flood. Now they won't give us any more food. The pieces are here in my celluloid purse. Innocent baby, play our death curse. 2 policemen surrounded by thousands of boys, crowded, waiting their daily bread joys. Carry big whistles and long bamboo sticks. To whack them in line, they play hungry tricks. Breaking the line and jumping in front, into the circle sneaks 1 skinny runt. 2 brothers dance forward on the mud stage. The guards blow their whistles and chase them in rage. Why are these infants massed in this place, laughing in play and pushing for space? Why do they wait here so cheerful and dread? Why, this is the house where they give children bread. The man in the bread door cries and comes out. Thousands of boys and girls take up his shout. Is it joy? Is it prayer? No more bread today. Thousands of children at once scream hooray, run home to tents where elders await, messenger children with bread from the state. No bread more today, and no place to squat. Painful baby, sick shit he's got. Malnutrition, skulls, thousands for months. Dysentery drains bowels all at once. Nurse shows disease card, enterostrep. Suspension is wanting, or else chlorostrep. Refugee camps in hospital shacks. Newborn lay naked on mother's thin laps. Monkey-sized, weak, old rheumatic babe eye. Gastroenteritis, blood poison. Thousands must die.
Thank you. Many, many thanks, Eric. We'll listen to the rest of the poem afterwards, after having some talks perhaps. Let us see whether we are seen and we are heard properly by the audiences. If audiences have already joined, Mithul, if you kindly read, is there?
Yeah, I
Can
think
you
we are being seen and heard.
hear me, Ahmed Kaisar? Do you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes, we can. Yeah,
It's a very good beginning with Ginsberg's poem.
yeah,
The very important poem that has been written on our liberation war,
yeah.
that in 1971. Incidentally, I had the opportunity to find him out when I visited United States, New York, especially in 1991, and I got him out in the New York University in a Loeb Center. He was delivering a lecture there. So I went there and met him, and he was very happy to find someone from Bangladesh to talk about his immortal poem that he has written on Bangladesh in 1971. So all that, my relationship with him was because he wrote this wonderful poem on our liberation struggle, especially the refugees who actually had very bad experiences there. So he took me to his apartment. And I had my friend was a photographer in New York City, is Nasir Ali Mamoon. He took a lot of pictures with Ginsberg. And here is one. I have a book. I wrote a book on him. Here is the picture
Oh,
me
and Ginsberg with,
Ginsberg.
wow, great.
With Ginsberg. He also took me to the Auden's house where the W.H. Auden used to live. And he also invited me in a poetry project program in St. Mark's Cathedral in Manhattan. So we developed some sort of friendship from my side. I wanted to make him a good friend of us. So he said that nobody from Bangladesh came to me to say that they have written my poem. So he was also a very good musician also. He went inside and took out a harmonium he collected from Kolkata. Maybe then Sunil Gangopadhyay, Sunil's references there in the poem. Sunil Shakti Chattopadhyay and Malaya Rao Chaudhary, they were very friendly to him. So he brought out that harmonium and sang this poem along with the harmonium. So he was a musician too, and he was not very class 1 singer, but he used to sing and loved to sing. So he sang that song. Then I wrote a book on him. I visited again in 1993. And by this time I wrote a book on him, my experience with him. And I had the experience of passing some good time with him in America twice. So I wrote this book, Ginsberg's song with Ginsberg.
Yes.
You can see the book with Ginsberg. The cover, the photographer, I did this photography. I did this artwork. I wanted to see Ginsberg look like that in my picture. So in Bangladesh, some young poet translated this poem. You know, in India, in Calcutta, Mousumi Bhomik sang this. You know about Mousumi Bhomik?
Yes.
So, wonderful singer. So in Bangladesh, someone he was very short-lived. Farabi, yeah, much younger to me, but he died much early. So
Khan Muhammad Farabi.
Khan Muhammad Farabi. Oh, it is Jewel Majar.
Ji, Dada.
So I was thinking of some English poet to be here. You were looking like an English poet.
Thank you,
So
Dada.
I now recite from the translation. Wonderful translation was done by Khan Muhammad Farabi. Joshua Road, September.
Fabulous translation. আপনি লিখেও ছিলেন ফারাবির উপরে এই ট্রান্সলেশনের ব্যাপারে লিখেও ছিলেন আপনি।
একদম।
হ্যাঁ, আমি লিখেছি, না এটা সব বইয়ের ভিতরেই আছে। বইয়ের ভিতরে এসে আলোচনাটা আছে।
Please go on, Gunda. Yeah.
এইজন্য আমি পুরো নামটা বললাম আর কি, যাতে বিদেশি বন্ধুরা জানে।
ভালো বলছো, সেটা তো জানতে পারবে নামটা। এখানে আমাদের যিনি কবিতাটি পাঠ করেছেন তিনি তাকে তো আমি স্ক্রিনে দেখছি না।
এরিক শিলান্ডার।
বাংলা কবিতাটি একটু যদি পাঠ করে শোনান শিলান্ডারের জন্য, তিনি হয়তো বাংলা ভাষার সেই মাধুর্যটা কেমন এসছে বাংলায়
আচ্ছা, I wanted to read this Bengali version for him who recited wonderfully this poem.
Exactly.
If he is here anyway, he can hear to me, then he can understand how in Bengali it sounds like. লক্ষ শিশু দেখছে আকাশ অন্ধকার, উদস্ফীত বিস্ফারিত চোখের ধার, যশোর রোডে বিষণ্ণ সব বাঁশের ঘর, ধুকছে শুধু কঠিন মাটি নিরুত্তর, লক্ষ পিতা ভিজছে হিমেল বৃষ্টিতে, লক্ষ মাতা দুঃখ দেখে দৃষ্টিতে, লক্ষ ভাইয়ের হৃদয়ে ধুধু যন্ত্রণা, লক্ষ বোনের নেই গো ঘরের সান্ত্বনা, লক্ষ মাসি ভাতের জন্য যায় মরে, লক্ষ মাতুল মাতাল হয়ে শোক করে, লক্ষ পিতামহের গৃহ চূর্ণ প্রায়, পিতামহী হচ্ছে পাগল নিঃসহায়, হাঁটছে পাকে লক্ষ পিতার কন্যারা, অবোধ শিশু ভাসিয়ে নিল বন্যারা, লক্ষ মেয়ে করছে বমন আর্তনাদ, লক্ষ পরিবারের আশা চূর্ণ সাদ, লক্ষ প্রাণের 1971, উদ্বাস্তু যশোর রোডে সব ধূসর, সূর্য জলে ধূসর রঙে মৃত প্রায়, হাঁটছে মানুষ বাংলা ছেড়ে কলকাতায়, সিক্ত মিছিল হাঁটছে মানুষ নিঃসহায়, ত্রস্ত ভিতর ক্ষুব্ধ বালক থমকে চায়, স্তব্ধ আখি শীর্ণ দেহ অস্থিসার, মানব বেশে ক্ষুধার্ত সব ফেরেশতার, সীমান্ত আজ বানের পানি তাতই থই, সব ডুবেছে খাদ্য দেবে পথটা কই, মার্কিনী সব দেবতারা কোথায় আজ, বিমান থেকে শিশুর গায়ে ছুটছে বাজ, রাষ্ট্রপতি কোথায় তোমার সৈন্য দল, বিমান বহর নৌবাহিনী অর্থবল, আজ কি তারা খাদ্য শুধু আনতে চায়, ফেলছে বোমা ভিয়েতনামে নিঃসহায়। I just read out some part of it. It is a big poem,
Beautiful.
everybody knows.
Wonderful
I think-
translation, Gunda.
Gunda,
I like
Gunda,
it.
please.
I like
We are
more
coming
than
back to you.
that by Mausumi. আমার
Exactly.
কাছে ফারাবির অনুবাদটা অনেক বেশি অ্যাপিলিং মনে
Well,
হয়েছে।
bhai, we
আমি
are coming
দুটোই
back to
পড়েছি, মানে
Very appealing
মাই
and also
পার্সোনাল
one-
লাইকিং।
Gunda.
Well,
We are
also-
coming
also
back to
when-
you.
oh,
We are coming back to you. We have
okay.
a bit of
I have the
speaking to
tendency,
your-
bad tendency of not leaving the microphone when I get it. So better will be.
anyway. I'll come back to you in.
আপনি তো কবিতা লিখেছেন,
please stop
মাননীয়
me.
সভাপতি কে
Our
সভাপতি,
next
আমার
speaker
কাছে মাইক্রোফোন ব্যাপার।
right. So please stop me when you feel it necessary.
We are coming back to our speakers and poets soon again. Our next speaker is Fabian Hamilton, the minister, the shadow minister of peace and disarmament, member of parliament from the northeast of Leeds, and a pro-people politician and a great friend of Bangladesh. Fabian, over to you.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. Thank you, everybody. It's an honor to be with so many distinguished people here this afternoon. I feel quite humble. And I'm delighted, however, to have been invited by you, Ahmed, to help celebrate the 50th anniversary of Bangladeshi independence. Now, as we all know, Bangladeshis fought tirelessly for this moment 50 years ago, and so many paid with their lives. As a 16-year-old school student myself, I well remember the terrible conflict in 1971, a conflict that none of us who witnessed it through the media will ever forget, and of course, which led to the birth of the state of Bangladesh, which 50 years on has made its mark upon the world, and whose many diaspora communities across the globe play such an important part in the life and culture of their adopted countries. Now, the celebrations that will mark the 50th anniversary next week will be extremely special for the vibrant Bangladeshi community that we have here in Leeds, as well as across the country. I think it's so important, even in these difficult and strange times, that Bangladeshis are able to celebrate the victory for self-determination that took place half a century ago. We're joined by very many well-known figures, as we've heard, from across the country, from Bangladesh, and of course from the Leeds Bangladeshi community. And I remember well, and I'm thinking particularly of my dear old friend, and he's not that old, Abdul Qudus, a man I've known for so many decades. And I'm very honored to be here with you, albeit virtually, to celebrate such an important occasion. Now, thanks to you, Ahmed, I've been proud to have been involved
in Bangladeshi cultural events over the past few years, both here in Leeds and through the Radha Raman and Sauda Music and Poetry Society, as well as in London in Parliament, where I've hosted some of the events. And I've learned so much about the beauty of Bengali music, poetry, and dance. And I've enjoyed listening to so many brilliant musicians and performers, people like Chandra Chakraborty and many others. I don't want to pick her out, but she is very special. And of course, especially the poetry of Bangladesh's very own Shakespeare, Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore, a man I knew little about until you, Ahmed, got me involved with Sauda Music and Poetry and Radha Raman. I sincerely hope that we can be together in person to mark next year's Independence Day. It's good being able to do this online, but nothing compares with seeing one another in the flesh, in a room together, witnessing in person the cultural contributions of poetry, music, and dance. Now, the almost 500,000 strong Bangladeshi community here in the UK already contributes so much to this country and has done an awful lot during the pandemic to save lives too. Around 820 British Bangladeshis currently work in our National Health Service. That's 850 doctors, 820 doctors, nurses, porters, and other medical staff who are on the front line every day during this appalling crisis. And alongside the NHS, British Bangladeshis work in every sector of our economy to do their best to see it thrive. There are shop workers, our bus drivers, our postal workers, our taxi drivers, our firefighters, our police officers. So as much as Bangladesh Independence Day is about marking the 50th anniversary of the political declaration of independence, I think it's only right that British Bangladeshis up and down this country are able to celebrate their huge contributions to the United Kingdom as a whole. They should be rightly proud of their incredible heritage. But it's not just the NHS which benefits from our historic ties to Bangladesh, it's our parliament too. My friend and parliamentary colleague Tulip Siddiq, as many of you will know, is rightly proud of her Bangladeshi heritage, as are Rushnara Ali and Rupa Huq, 3 British women of Bangladeshi heritage of whom we are so proud in the United Kingdom Parliament. Tulip's mother, Sheikh Rahana, is the daughter of the first president of Bangladesh, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and sought political asylum here in the UK in the 1970s. Tulip is an outstanding politician and an excellent representative of Hampstead and Kilburn, the constituency that she's represented in London since 2015. She joined the party at age 16 after her father suffered a terrible stroke, and says that she wanted to be part of the Labour Party because of the wonderful care that our NHS gave him during that difficult time for her family. And since she was elected to Parliament, she's been an advocate for equality and has been dedicated to women's rights. Her dedication to her constituents really shone through when she attended one of the Brexit votes in the House of Commons in a wheelchair, just 2 days before giving birth to her second child in 2019. Much like North Leeds and Leeds as a whole, Tulip's constituency has a sizable Bangladeshi community and diaspora. But whether you're a Muslim, whether you're Jewish, Sikh, Hindu or Christian, the importance of social justice and equality has always been our #1 priority. It's only by working together across communities and faiths that we can tackle the inequalities across our society. That's why Tulip prides herself on sending her daughter to a Jewish nursery, even though she's Muslim, and she often speaks at her local synagogue. So in the same way that I'm speaking to you all today as someone of Jewish heritage, I know why it's so important that our communities come together as often as possible to discuss our collective experiences and our shared struggles. I can't stress enough what amazing assets Tulip, Rupa and Rushnara are to the Bangladeshi community in this country, and I'm proud to be their friend and parliamentary colleague. So once again, I'd like to thank everyone here today. Thank you for inviting me to say a few words. I know the celebrations today and next week will be different to those that we've been used to in past years, but I hope they'll be peaceful and happy for you, for your families, and for the whole wonderful Bangladeshi community of the United Kingdom. Long may you all play such a central part in the economic and cultural life of this country. We are all very proud of you. Thank you, Ahmed.
Many, many, many thanks. Thank you again, Fabian, for your kind words. And you are always, I can ruminate the memories of your words at Radharaman Folk Festival here in Leeds, or the House of Commons that you did through Sodho or Radharaman. You sponsored this, then you gave us an opportunity to present the beauty and magnificence of Bengali and South Asian arts in the House of Commons too. So thank you very much for offering such a great friendship and always preaching the beauty of Bengali culture wherever it is possible. And many thanks for your kind words, and many thanks for the speech again. So let us, we have Jashodhara Rai Chaudhary, another phenomenal poet, joined from India, to West Bengal. Many, many thanks for joining, and a warm
Very
welcome.
happy. Thank you. I'm very happy and proud to be here.
Exactly, thank you. But your video is off. Video is turned off for some reasons. If you kindly turn your video on. But in the meantime, Mitul, if you kindly read some audience's comment, just to see whether they have any suggestion, any question, or in general, we are being hard without any complaint or anything.
Yasmin Bratt has written, beautifully brought to life, brother, for one who was a teenager there. I think this comment is for Eric. Shoshi Kumar Pandey has written, happy Golden Jubilee. Poet Shamim Reza is watching. Poet Shahid Kais has written, very good discussion. Congratulations, dear Poet Gunda. He has also added, excellent listening to your discussion, dear Poet Jewel Mazhar. Tapush Rai has said namaskar. Then Yasmin Brett has also written, Brother Gunda, are you in contact with the relatives of Allen Ginsberg? Then Ali Hassan has written, very well said, Fabian Hamilton, thank you. Happy Golden Jubilee to all. Professor Nazrul Islam, Assalamu alaikum, Kaisa, just joined. So that's all. Thank you.
So many, many thanks for your comment. And rightly, this was quite, I really enjoyed Gunda's memory on Allen Ginsberg. We knew Ginsberg for many other reasons, whole another beautiful poem that he wrote, and most essentially, the September and Joshua Road, which became almost like, which is quite connected to the even history of the birth of Bangladesh now. So we are moving on to the next performer, perhaps, or next reading. Let us have next reading. Like I mentioned to you before, we have Jewel Mazhar, a wonderful poet and translator joined from Bangladesh. So Jewel bhai, if you kindly read some of your poems as part of this celebration. If you kindly unmute yourself first.
Yes. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. I'm going to read some of my poems in English translation. First one is Megasthenesis Green. In Bengali, it is Megasthenisher Hashi. Megasthenis green. You were stuffing gunpowder into the silent cannon, all by yourself. When winter is over, why do you stuff gunpowder into the silent cannon? I wonder, is Megasthenis green also Megasthenis? Within this power-operated charade, brown horses fly, engines rumbling and robots coughing by. Are you still stuffing gunpowder into the silent cannon? এরপরে আমি পড়ছি. Now I read a second poem. This is in Bangla, Kromo Hononer Path. In English, towards a path of endless killing. There is fear, watching rows of innocent eyes. Suppose the hatred towards another explodes. But still there is inertness. A train moves in the distance. The fir tree wood trembles in waves. Come, let me tussle you in the name of the nocturnal fairies, in the magical water of senses, in melting pain-numbed flow of cards. The sound of thousand arrows behind you, the sound of thousand strings. Is fear then the wing of sensibility? If so, fly, fly away into the woods. Do cross the paths of endless slaughter and see what it is. There are moving stairs on the grass, shadows of skulls strewn on the slopes of hills, lined up like deceptions. And just see, you are lying there painted with fingers of water. Hundreds of graffiti on the wall lie awake around you. The path to endless murders wraps around me and then stoops over you. The first poem was translated by Subrata Augustine Gomez, another powerful poet from Bangladesh. And the second one was translated by Afsan Chaudhary, the very powerful story writer and a poet as well. Now I read another poem translated by Subrata Augustine Gomez. This is Rubicon. Before me lies the Rubicon, the Pul Sirat, the harsh and horrid new moon night. I confront the horror of horror all alone. No boat, no horse, no provisions, standing smaller than a pygmy. And the broken bones in my battered body, my blood, bile, mucus, saliva, semen, phlegm, all granite hardening under endless ice and boreal chill. And a blizzard howling now and then, and an uncanny, savage frost covers me from top to toe. The typhoidal fluid that runs down from my nostrils, the tears that ooze from the eyes, they seldom hit the ground. Instead, they hang in the air like the Norse god's spears. Countless anthills behind me lie. Fiery-eared jackals wink from them with languid eyes. Medusa, Manasha, and Kali loll their cloud-licking tongues. Swords I have none, only my fingernails I have for swords. Will I cower? No, I won't. I will stand on one leg with all the courage in the world. No boat, no weapon, no horse, no provisions. I am on my own, smaller than a pygmy. I blow into my billows. I call unto myself, arise, awake. I have no horse, yet a haughty star is being bred in me. I live with my battered legs. I swim upstream, a sulphur river, longer than my life. I will pierce across this harsh and horrid moonless night. I will overcome. I will cross the Rubicon. The last one I'm going to read. This is sitting by the tandoor. In Bangla, it is tandurer pashe boshe. Look, Otto Hans iron peacocks float on Heraclitus' river. In the morning restaurants, see how tons of wheat puff up in sun's tandoor. Clouds, translucent and white, drift across the moon. And in his own cornfield, Binoy Majumdar, the poet, stoops. I remember him when the pines were tossing their heads as if in self-resentment, leaves falling aimlessly, and the strange, possessed machine coughing all day. Cards of different shoots wafting on the air. Our blood to polish brims with peasant straps, and the poet waits in front of a lighted gas burner. Oh, Sylvia Plath, you burned yourself like glass, quandary savage. Those that have come past many a traffic light, which of the faces do you wear? Who among you propagate the greased corns, and who was it that put his own wings to fire? Now wait and see what comes out of the tandoor, to whom our daily bread rolls. It is translated by Subroto Agustin Gomez. Thanks, everybody, for hearing.
Many thanks. Many thanks, Poet Joel Mazhar, for reading this beautiful poems. We are moving on to the next speaker, actually. And Geeta Upadhyayji, if you kindly say a few words. I know how deeply, how profoundly you love Bangladesh, how profoundly you love Bengali culture, and how profoundly you support it, and you have been supporting Bengali or South Asian in general, South Asian culture to grow in this country. Many thanks for everything you have been doing. A salute for the initiatives, the mega initiatives you have done so far through Kala Sangam, and many thanks for all of your support. So over to you.
Thank you very much. Namaskar, everybody, and Jai Bangla. After listening to these two poets, what else can I say about culture? Every leaf, every flower, every river, and every road speaks of culture in Bangladesh. I just said that spontaneously, nobody's poem. I'm not a poet. But, you know, without culture, there's nothing. And that's the soul of Bangladesh. The people and its multicultural heritage is to be celebrated not just today, because it's 50 years now, but for many, many, many more years to come, it would be celebrated and lauded. It's such a rich place of culture. And that's why I think I'm madly in love with Bangladesh, and I'm very, very keen to learn the language properly. If you see the culture of Bangladesh, just to have an overview, it's very difficult to put it in 5 minutes. And as you all know, there are so many components to culture: the food, the dress, the faiths, the arts, and so on and so forth. But as it stood out so strongly now, literature is the soul of Bangladesh. And there we heard two wonderful poets recite. And it said that it's nearly 1,000 years old is the literary tradition of Bangladesh. And today is a suitable time to revisit those wonderful poets who made it happen for the country, and also pay our respects to every artist who enriched the cultural heritage of Bangladesh. And you have the medieval period, which saw Chandidas, Daulat Qazi, Alolwai, and recently you also have people like Madhusudan Dutt, Lalon, of course, Tagore and Nazrul Islamji. And we have heard two more poets here today. And there are many, many more visible and invisible poetry, which rings through the roads of Bangladesh. Then we go on to see the music. So you have the performing arts enrichment and the visual arts. So in music, it's needless to say that this philosophical and the spiritual content of the songs has made it immortal. And many, many have contributed to these songs. And the folk music is very, very well known, the Batiali or the Jari or the Shairi, many, many more. It's very difficult to list them today. But today is our day to pay homage and respects to these wonderful cultural icons who really made it happen for Bangladesh. And the songs and the dances, the folk dramas are all the ancient culture of Bangladesh. And of course, we cannot prevent the upcoming Western cultures, which are also there with their pop culture, the contemporary culture. As much as we embrace those cultures, I think we also have to retain the heritage of Bangladesh and the original and the traditional art forms of Bangladesh. It's very well known about the music, especially the Rabindra Sangeet and the Nazrul Sangeet, and many wonderful lyricists like Lalan Fakir, Hassan Raja. So without them, there wouldn't have been any cultural heritage at all. And if you reflect on the paintings of Bangladesh and the pioneered painting by Zainul Abidin right up to the modern painters like Sultanji, Kamrul Hussain, everybody has placed Bangladesh on the map. And to all of them, we do nothing but pay a great tribute and naman. But we also have to think of the wonderful, still very, very popular, the textile art of Bangladesh, which is the Jamdani or the muslin or the Nakshi Kanta. There are ever so many things you can reel off about Bangladesh, but it's a jewel among jewels. And I think every artist there is a jewel in its crown. And that has contributed to this rich cultural heritage of Bangladesh. And I always reflect on this wonderful poem of Tagore, which I would like to end with. I thought that my voyage had come to an end, at the last limit of my power, that the path before me was closed, that the provisions were exhausted, and the time come to take shelter in silent obscurity. But I find that thy will knows no end in me. Very significant line. And when old words die out on the tongue, new melodies break forth from the heart. And where old tracks are lost, now a new country is revealed with its wonders. Bangladesh will continue to reveal wonders, continue to revel in its people, and spread nothing but joy and richness to everyone who it comes across. Thank you for this opportunity to wish Bangladesh and its people of Bangladesh the very, very best for many years to come. Namaskar.
Thank you, Geeta ji. That shows how profoundly in love Bangladesh. You mentioned almost all the phenomenal artists. I mean, it looks like how deeply you are connected to the artists and poets and musicians of Bangladesh. So many, many thanks for this beautiful and kind words. We are moving on to the next poet, actually, But in the meantime, Mitul, the part and parcel of this initiative, actually. If you kindly say a few words before I move on to the next poet. Mitul, can you hear me? Right. So I can perhaps go back to Mitul is perhaps not here. So I can go back to our next poet, who is John Fondan. John Fondan is also another profound admirer of Bengali culture. He was featured as part of 100 Poets Around the World for Love as part of Gronthee's initiative. And he has been supporting these initiatives so meaningfully. Many thanks for the support. So John Fondan is a phenomenal translator, a playwright, and an award-winning poet. So John, I'm just making you host now.
Thank you.
So that you can, and then if you kindly, after your reading, it can go back to
Actually,
Shamim.
Shamim.
Yeah.
I'm only going to do it.
So over to you now.
Okay.
You are.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Ahmed. I'd just like to start off by saying how profoundly honored I am to be here. And actually, I'd like to echo some of Fabian's words from earlier, because what has been extraordinary for me is the strength of the Bengali community in the UK, which has taught me so much about Bangladesh, but also taught me about life in general. And I've been lucky enough to meet and become friends with some great artists from Bengali artists in the UK. There's, for instance, the first friend I met is Lisa Ghazi, who is has just made a fantastic, beautiful documentary called The Rising Silent, which is about Bangladesh, which is winning prizes and in every film festival across the world, and she's just released a wonderful novel called Hellfire. And then there's Kishan Khan, who is a fantastic keyboard player who is blending back Bengali music with music from around the world to introduce a whole new variety of people to Bengali music. And then his mother, Rooney Khan, who is a fantastic ambassador of Bengali culture, who introduced me to Tagore, which is a really exciting thing for me. And finally, I'd like to mention Sahini Alam, because I've written a poem, which I'm not really qualified to do because I'm not Bengali, but I thought I'm going to do it anyway. But one of the things that inspired me to this poem was Sahini's version of Bangladesh's national anthem, which I think is one of the most beautiful national anthems that's ever been written. And it's extraordinary that a country has a national anthem written by a Nobel Prize winning poet. So, and this is why I wanted to share the screen, because the poem leads into Sahini and her band Kio's version of Amashona Bangla, which is, I don't know that it goes down well with purists, but for me, it has a great power and resonance. So I will try and segue smoothly into that at the end. It may not work, but bear with me anyway. But first, I'm going to read this poem, and it's called Let Me Salute You, Bangladesh. On that.
John, you are in mute.
So I gathered, yes. Okay, I'll start again. Let me salute you, young nation, Bangladesh, land of river and tree, on your half-century celebration. Half a century you've been free. 50 years, it seemed so brief, 50 turbulent years of life, since your troubling nativity, etched with grief, your labor of agonizing strife. And yet your roots go much, much deeper, stretching far into the past, deeper than bamboo or creeper, into the land they're holding fast. Before the oppression of the empire, when the cruel British boot trod here, before the Mughal and Maurya, whose heavy steps likewise brought fear. Before the legendary Gangaridai, whose elephants loomed beyond the flood, compelling great Alexander's outcry, I shall not venture over the flood. Before even the Vanga line, people plucked fruit from the mango tree, walking by rivers in Bangla sunshine, since the very dawn of humanity. This land was born in ancient compression, as Indian mass pummeled Asian rock. Between this continent oppression, squeezed the juice of geologic rock. Between them reared young mountain ranges rising, buckling towards the sky. Between them oozed the ripening Ganges, Surma, Jamuna, pouring richly by. There, far round the delta water stretched a land both lush and dry, peopled in time by sons and daughters, Bangla forebears from an age gone by. And now, at last, the Bangla nation has come again to claim its right, arising from centuries' compression between opposing empires' might. Half a century making its own way, breathing in its own true Bangla air, treading Bangla soil each day and hearing Bangla everywhere. Yet many chains remain unbroken, many voices still not heard, many freedoms still just token, many liberties in only word. I hear the trials of Birangola. I wait for their time to be free, the oppression of the factory owner and the awful grip of poverty. There remains so much undone to relieve the crushing of the past before independence for everyone and Bangladesh is free at last. So let this time of celebration not just be a time for cheers, but a pledge of resolution to move forward through the years. From the far, far hills to the Sundarbans tree, from Dakar's noise to Chittagong, may all Bangla people soon break free to hear the lyric Bangla song. Is the sound on? Listen.
No, I can't hear any sound.
Okay, I'll stop share. Okay.
So there is perhaps a tick box.
Okay,
where you
yes,
need
it's
to
done it.
click.
It's okay. Listen, listen, listen. Hear the whispering, hear it in the whispering wind. Amar, Shona, Bangla, my golden Bangalore, Bangladesh.
ফাঁকি ছায়া গো কি স্নেহ কি মায়া গো কি আঁচল বিছাইছ বটের মূলে নদীর কূলে কূলে মা তোর মুখের বাণী আমার কানে লাগে সুধার মতো মরি হায় রে মা তোর মুখে বাণী আমার কানে লাগে সুধার মতো মা তোর বদন খানি মলিন হলে আমি নয়ন ও মা আমি নয়ন জলে ভাসি সোনার বাংলা আমি তোমায় ভালোবাসি চিরদিন তোমার আকাশ চিরদিন তোমার আকাশ তোমার বাতাস আমার প্রাণে ও মা আমার প্রাণে বাজায় বাঁশি সোনার বাংলা আমি তোমায় ভালোবাসি ও মা ফাগুনে তো আমের বনে কানে পাগল করে মরি হায় রে ও মা ফাগুনে তো আমের বনে কানে পাগল করে ও মা প্রাণে তোর ধরা খেতে কি দেখেছি আমি কি দেখেছি মধুর হাসি সোনার বাংলা আমি তোমায় ভালোবাসি
Listen. 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 Hear it. Whispering on the winds. Rustling in the banyan leaves. Echoing through the chaotic canyons of the cities. Rippling on the rivers. Singing in the Sundarban softly. Amar Shona Bangla, my golden Bangladesh. Thank you, and thank you to Sahini Alam and Keo for that wonderful version. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much, John, again. And many thanks to Sohini for this beautiful singing, and John for sharing this as part of your presentation. So let us move on to our next speaker, poet, Professor Tapadhir. As you know, he's also a very remarkable academic, literary theorist, and a former Vice Chancellor of Ashram University and a public intellectual. But I personally would like to listen his poetry along with a bit of talk. So over to you, Tapadhir, if you kindly say a few words, and also if you kindly read some of your poems. Also,
Thank you.
just to let you know that Indran, a Sri Lankan American poet, also joined as part of this celebration from America. And also, like I mentioned before, Yashudhara Rai Chaudhary is with us already. And then some more speakers are joining shortly in due course of time. So over to you, Tapadhir.
Thank you, Kaisa. Just now, actually, I think I have become somewhat nostalgic after listening to John's deliberation, and as well as the musical rendering. It was excellent. I am afraid my words will not suffice to express my feelings right now. Anyway, since Kaisar has asked me to recite some of my poems, so let me tell you, those who are kindly listening to me, that I have chosen some of my poems which have been written long back. In fact, when I was searching out, and all of them are written in my mother tongue, Bangla, in late 1971, early 1972, first two poems, and the renderings have been mine into English. I will read out only the English text, because this is somewhat abridged, as I know. Otherwise, it will be a time-consuming affair. Anyway, without going into much innuendo, let me read out those poems. First one, and I এই তাতারে ধরো, তাতারে আমার ফোন করিয়া কাটি দিছে।
Ekdom, you are audible now.
Yeah. Sorry for because there was a telephone call from nearby. Anyway, what I was saying, that this you may call lyrics for freedom. Originally scripted in Bangla, my mother tongue, and then translated into English by me only. So I'm reading out them one by one. Children of Bangla's darkly night, Haley Wall, soulmates. It was written in late 1971 when I was much younger than what Kaisar is now. You are born in the music of dreams, always shining audaciously, ordained by destiny, yearning for freedom, quenching the thirst for liberty. Haley Wall, soulmates, let now the moon shine over hills and vales. Let the spring breed eternal love. Freedom is here, having consumed endless storms. Let the destiny bring forth glimmering joy. Let us keep faith in the radiant dawn. Children of Bangla's darkly night, Haley Wall, soulmates, victory for you, victory for Bangla. Then the next one, which I wrote sometime in the early parts of 1972. Towards bliss we are traversing. Our path is shining with red glow. We are bright with passion, yet tranquil. In order to resurrect our unrealized dreams. The prophet of the new dawn is back, piercing all glooms and sufferings. The evening dew and the first rays of the dawn are singing his glory in boundless ecstasy. Let us all soar up in spirit like flames to greet the great new future in the offing. In spite of horrific genocide, devastating hunger, and baptism by fire, we witness the birth of a nation, Bangladesh. Hail, hail, Bangladesh, hail. The next one was written in 1975. If I remember correctly, after that fateful day of 15th August, maybe after 7 or 8 days, in late August 1975. Are you still in the northern sky, O pole star? Are you wandering in eternity or lost somewhere in the distant mists? Look, dumb silence has engulfed us. Your clarion call still reverberates. Your firm footsteps are louder and louder, piercing our folly and trustlessness. We are suspended in deep silence left behind. We are consumed by the flames of remorse. The northern pole star beckons you, fetching your voices from our collective dream. Our hapless land fills that silence. Behold, wintry chill is no longer anywhere. The fourth one was written in 1977. I distinctly remember the date anyway for a different reason. Muse has departed. Our pangs have withered into oblivion. Every moment I feel her fleeing away, oblivion surges. The whole horizon wreathes in terror and despair. In total solitude, I wander as the pathways sink in quicksand. Somewhere a funeral bell resonates. Muse has departed without leaving a trace of echo for the advancing twilight. Can't we feel the surge of the turbulent void all around? Can't we fight gaping hollowness within? And the next one was composed in 1993. Through dust storms, days in and days out, through fierce tornadoes of forlorn nights, we drift apart as the thunders roar. We smell the burns of lightning. Never mind, we will sing lullabies to the children. Let them sleep to wake up at dawn, while we remain awake, searching out a safe harbor. Let us now drift, not apart, but into each other. Toddlers have been rested for the night. Bangla waits. She waits for the new harvest. The next one was written in 1988. This morning is neither ritual nor formal for the hungry cameras. It is deeply personal, and it would remain for the next decades in a nonchalant way. Through the endless desert of time, we would pass on this heritage of profound grief, of bleeding memories, till tears are not dried up, till murmurs are totally bemoaned. Children will wet their lips with your magic name, Mujib, Oh, the deliverer per se, raise us from slumbers of numbness. Last one was written in 1999 when I first visited Sylhet. I remember, and in a personal note where I first had the occasion to come across Ahmed Kaisar. I salute you, my Bangla, where people are dreamers, where they learn how to survive frightful nights. I salute you, where liberty has flourished in the meadows, in the green valleys, and vibrations of rains, through incessant combats and bloodsheds. I salute you, my Bangla, where dreams are sailors, whose names kindle fire and whistle, bugle tone. Yes, one magic name signed signed the return of Renaissance, who saved the sea-wrecked ship from the hurricane. I salute you, my Bangla, where fighters are dreamers. You are forever my eternal theme of the paradise regained. You are always beyond the deluge. You are the greatest rebirth of the timeless glory. I salute you, my Bangla, today and on never-ending tomorrows. Ignite my soul, oh my Bangla, ignite me. So these are some of my poems in Bangla, which I have translated into English at your behest, Kaisar. So
Many,
join
many,
me.
many thanks. Many thanks, Tapadhir. Many, many thanks for joining and many thanks for reading some beautiful poems as part of this historical celebration of the Jubilee, Golden Jubilee of the birth of Bangladesh. Let me read perhaps 2 or 3 comments. Ali Hassan, a wonderful friend of us, said, awesome, very nicely sung, wonderful mix of East and West. Thank you all. Joy Bangla, long live Bangladesh. Sri Ganguly, John, how beautifully you have read the poem. And Sohini, what most mesmerizing music. Thank you. Thank you. This is incredible. And then, hello Gitaji, all good to see you here, Ali Hassanji. Thank you, Gitaji. And John Fondan, thank you so much for your kind words. Suhail Ahmed, Joy Bangla, thank you, Gronthee. Many thanks for these comments. Perhaps we'll read some more again. Thank you, Tapadhir. We have poet Nimalendagun, a highly, extremely popular poet of 60s of Bengali literature, especially in Bangladesh. So I will come back to Nimalendagun very soon again. But we have also Joshudhara Rai Chaudhary, who joined from India, and I'm personally looking forward to listen the rest of the poem written by Alan Ginsberg that Eric Shilander recited a few minutes ago. So let us have a bit of reading from Joshudhara Rai Chaudhary. Joshudhara Rai Chaudhary, as you know, a phenomenal contemporary poet of Bengal, especially from India. Thank you, Joshudhara Rai Chaudhary, for joining.
Thank you, Ahmed. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Okay, I'm so proud to be here today. And really, it has been very moving to listen to the earlier speakers, and especially the Amar Sonar Bangla, which was sung. That really gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. And I remember one occasion when I was speaking one of my on-the-job trainings in the US in Washington DC, and one of my co-trainees was an auditor from Bangladesh, and he was listening to this song on the PC in the same room I was in, and it was during a break, and he was crying. He was weeping, and the tears were rolling down his cheeks when he was listening to this song. And I just instantaneously bonded with him, because this song is also so close to our hearts. But I know that Bangladeshis have a different emotional connect with it, and I will never forget that. I feel I'll read 3 of my poems, but I feel that I need to share with you 2 or 3 small things. One is that in 1971, I was quite small, but I still remember the kind of the feeling of initially it was a terrorizing thing, because the war was there and we had the blackouts, and there were regular sticking those white papers on our windows so that no light goes out, and in the night there would be blackout, and all those memories are there. And generally we read newspapers in the morning, but that time regularly newspapers used to come out with special issues in the evenings with the news of the Bangladesh war. So, and I think we also heard that sound of the rat-tatting sound of some of the warplanes going above. So these things are there. And my mother was a painter, so she had painted one oil canvas, which I would like you to share if you could, Shamim. I sent it to Shamim. I don't know, I may not be able to share the screen, but if Shamim,
Unfortunately, that Shamshan just sent this to me, but
okay, it's
in
not
my
possible.
mobile. It would be great if we could share it. It's a
Yes.
beautiful painting to be honest.
I'll try just once if I can, and otherwise, yeah, I can share through photos, I think. I'll just try, because it was painted around, I think, around 1972. And we were all talking about these things. So it was like I feel very connected to that picture. Can you see it now?
Yeah, great, fantastic.
So it's a very sentimental picture for me, and today I thought that I would share it with all the viewers. So I will just read out some of my poems now, which are translated in English. See, it is not about the war of independence or fight for the language identity, maybe, but it's about us, about our fight for liberty. All of us, we are on the same boat. And when we think of Bangladesh liberation war, we always think of the cultural identity. Still today, we are facing the same kind of crisis all the time, the language identity, the cultural identity getting attacked from various fronts, and we are trying to fight it. So I will try to read some of those feelings. The first one is called Lorai. So I'll read the English one. I won't be sad. I'll dig the road inwards long. I will eat the insults. I will digest the stones. Hell and heaven, going up or down, will be the same, because insult is useless. Insult has made me. The evil has built inside me a monster and a numb monk. I will not make myself sad. I vow that. I will make myself happy. I want peace. I want peace. I want to stay on the inside. I want peace. Yet, inner fire, Nothing will happen without it. Nothing. The second one is called the grass. We are the grass, neglected by you. We know the grasshopper was born to be one of us. Naturally, I also know a few insults. Regular insults will show us the sky. More longing will open up a survival. Survival. Not crying. We have come to play in your game. Inside the game, there is a vow of freedom. Freedom is big and freedom is small. Our boyhood one day, from a scratch on the knees, the cries not uttered, sighed in a low voice, look, you have fallen in a storm. We weave a rope out of the bunch of grass and get stronger and stronger day by day. We are the grass. And the third one I'll read. This is about the recent pandemic and the kind of half-truths and false fake news and all those things which go from one WhatsApp group to another. It's written about that. But it's also about repression and our silence. So this is now. Fear flees from group to group. Fear leaps like a blob of phlegm, like a virus contagious, like a boil full of bubbling pus, nauseating. The bare facts and the half-truths, twisted and sharp like a witch's nail. They hop through groups. It won't be right to just call it grim. It won't be right to just think it wrong. It's hate with a zest. It's murder by tickles. It's a torture, a long, slow process. The way the traders of terror skin and rub salt, fear rolls. Fear is rubbed into misery. Fear is the most valuable stock. They invest in fear and make a living, make one duel with another. This is how they turn fear into bricks, turn bricks into walls, then wall it up to build a great big silence. So we have to speak up and break the silence. That's our vow. And I again say that I'm so proud to be in this function today, and all the best. Joy Bangla.
Many thanks, Joshua Rai Chaudhary, and many thanks to all of the audiences who are leaving these inspiring comments. We'll try to read at one point, but let's see. Our next speaker, next poet is Indran. I will come back to poet Nirmalendu afterwards. I'm sure I can see all of these comments where the audiences are expecting Nirmalendu to read from his poetry, and this is true. Whenever it comes to the poetry on Bengali Liberation War, poet Nirmalendu made a unique mark in writing phenomenal poems on the idea of freedom, idea of liberation war. So I'll come back to you, Gunda, very soon again. Our next poet is Indran Amirtanagam. As you know, he participated, he read his poems as part of 200 Poets Around the Globe for Love, as part of Gronthee's initiative before. So he's a Sri Lankan American poet, diplomat, essayist, and translator in English, Spanish, French, and Portuguese, and Haitian Creole. So Indran was born in 1960 in Colombo, Ceylon. When he was 8 years old, he moved with his family to London, England, and at the age of 14, his family moved again to Honolulu, Hawaii, where he began writing. So he has published 19 poetry collections, and he received many awards. Many thanks, Indran, for joining as part of today's celebration. Over to you now.
Thank you so much, Ahmed, for this generous invitation. You know, it's a great pleasure for me to join in the celebration of the 50th anniversary of independence. It's a bittersweet word, independence, for me, as I join the celebration, and I think too of the lack of independence of my own people in Elam, in now it's called Sri Lanka. And I think about the independence struggles of peoples around the world who are still engaged. You know, so there's a struggle wherever there's a one man or woman struggling for freedom. We're all struggling for freedom, you know. And so at this moment of joy, of celebration, 6 days or something from the day when Bangladesh won its independence, I think also of the peoples, our brothers and our sisters around the world who are now engaged in that struggle and still suffering. And just in terms of a kind of a sympathy, which is just a word, but it's also felt very deeply, you know. And so I thank you, Bangladesh. I am grateful to you for many things, for your poetry, for your music, for your cricket team, and so much more. And I think we can make peace and take the model of your own evolution, your own Pacific evolution after the days of war, where your peace and your independence was won. We're also migrants, you know. We live in different parts of the world, though we were born in Ceylon or in Bangladesh. We are, and I identify there evidently because I am also a migrant here. I read to you from Washington, D.C., where I'm working. And so here are a few poems. I'll read from a new book called The Migrant's Reply. And the poem, The Migrant's Reply. We have been running for so long. We're tired. We want to rest. We don't want to wake up tomorrow and pack our bags. We've gone 10,000 miles. We've boarded a rowboat, tugboat, bus, freight train. We have a cell phone and some bread. Our eyes are dry. Our breath needs washing. What next? You're putting up a wall on your southern flank. What an irony. The country that accepts refugees does not want us. We qualify. We have scars, and our host governments hunted at least some of us. The rest fled in fear. Gangs do not spare even the children. White vans took away our uncles, our cousins. Do you think they've been made into plowshares? Aye, what are you saying? Too easy to wear our hearts in these words, in slings, on our faces, furrowed, perplexed. What happened to kindness to strangers? Why do we have to be herded like prisoners, held in a holding camp? We are human beings, and like you in safer countries, we have the same obligation to save ourselves and our children. Oh, the children, look at them. Give them food and school and a new set of clothes. Give them a chance. Whether you are red or blue, the eye of the hurricane does not discriminate. We are your tumbling weeds, hurling cars, flooding banks, and we are diggers of the dikes. We can teach you so many languages and visions. You would learn so much. You would never ever say, lock us up. So yes, we learn a lot from the migrant. And I'll read two more poems. I'll read now from a book published in India called Coconuts on Mars, which I guess imagines yet another migration to another planet, you know, and planting coconut trees there. Movement is our history. It's our blood moves in our bodies, and people move from country to country, cross oceans, cross rivers, cross town. I don't know if is anybody left who has stayed literally in one place. And so let's celebrate that movement. This one is called on the other side. It's a love poem. You remember the blue and white cups bought at Target in which my coffee is served today in Haiti? I did not envision attachment then to everyday china, not stone or willowware or filigreed in gold, but ordinary made in China coffee cups, chipped, stained by 500 days and counting of waking up in this house on a hill, looking over the valley, airport in the distance, blue sea beyond, and you on the other side of all the islands. And to you on the other side of all the islands, to you in London, to you in India, to you in Bangladesh. Let me say that we all have a will to write, and let it be a living will. This one is called Living Will.
Yeah.
One day I will sit down with my soul and write that I have loved every bird that flew, every monkey on the branch, every elephant charging through the grass. I will say I love you as much as the baby gecko scampering past my foot, the snake rustling under the wood, cut and stacked in my yard. I will say I have loved every creature, every song, every turn in the road, and I will be lying with my eyes open and my eyes closed. I am not God. I am not even the dog loyal to his master, who misses him blind, like his daughter in Lima, which I call at night until the next time we meet in dreams via chat, cheek to cheek, remembering always that in paradise there are no trains or roads or seas or death, no going away, no arriving, doors and garden open, souls who come and go smiling, and all the angels, all birds, all dolphins, all men and women in song, dancing, and why not reciting the Song of Solomon, the epic poems, the love songs that consoled when we set off on the roads, hopped on trains and aeroplanes, got caught in traffic in our head, said goodbye before saying hello. Did I know you down there? You were the greengrocer I walked past going to school in London. Oh, my dear, how beautiful you are, Pauline, with ripe red hair, who shared the religion prize with me at St. Vincent's on Blandford Street. But you may be alive still, and I'm not ready to meet my maker, to be plucked from the cycle of rebirth. Not yet. I have poems to compose, children to raise, earth to cultivate. Come back later, angel. I have my will to revise. Thank you, Bangladesh. Thank you.
Many thanks. Many thanks, Simran, for reading your wonderful poems. Let me read, before I move on to Nirmalindagun, let me read some audience's feedback over. Let us perhaps listen to the rest of the poem written by Alan Ginsberg, but Bablu Ali, Adima Mojumdar, I'm so glad to see everyone. And then Sripati Upadhyaji, Joy Bangla, another great admirer of Bangladesh and Bengali culture. Joy Bangla, congratulations on the Golden Jubilee of the birth of Bangladesh. Thank you. Thanks to the Gronthee for organizing this event, which has brought people together from various walks of life. I must admire poets for their wonderful poems. Best wishes again. Many thanks, Sripati ji. Many thanks for your kind words. We also acknowledge gratefully your contribution in the formation of a dream, and that is called Kalasangam. Many thanks for your beautiful words again. Let us move on to Poet Nirmaladugun, but in the meantime, Eric, would you like to read the rest of the poems by Ginsberg so that perhaps we can start talking to Gunda in relation to his memory again on
Of course.
Ginsberg, and then, yeah, please go on.
Of course. Jewel and Nimalandu, would you mind muting just in case we have phone calls in the background?
Yeah.
And I just want to say, John Fondan mentioned Lisa Ghazi, who I had the privilege of performing with any number of times with Shauda. And she translated into Bangladeshi a novel. We've just talked about Bangladeshi poetry mainly and song, but I've read two extraordinary novels by a young woman, well, she's 45 now, but Tamima Anam. And Lisa had translated her first novel, The Golden Age, from English into Bangladeshi. The second one, Bengali, yes, sorry. And then her second one, The Good Muslim. And The Golden Age takes place during the war in 1971. Her parents were freedom fighters, and she did lots of research. So, the end of the Ginsberg. September, Joshua Road rickshaw, 50,000 souls in one camp I saw. Rows of bamboo huts in the flood, open drains, and wet families waiting for food. Border trucks flooded, food can't get past. American Angel machine, please come fast. Where is Ambassador Bunker today? Are his Helios machine gunning children at play? Where are the helicopters of US aid, smuggling dope in Bangkok's green shade? Where is America's Air Force of Light, bombing North Laos all day and all night? Where are the president's armies of gold, billionaire navies, merciful, bold, bringing us medicine, food, and relief? Napalming North Vietnam and causing more grief. Where are our tears? Who weeps for the pain? Where can these families go in the rain? Joshua Road's children close their big eyes. Where will we sleep when our father dies? Whom shall we pray to for rice and for care? Who can bring bread to this shit flood fouled lamb? Millions of children alone in the rain, millions of children weeping in pain. Ring, O ye tongues of the world, for their woe. Ring out ye voices for love we don't know. Ring out ye bells of electrical pain. Ring in the conscience of America's brain. How many children are we who are lost? Whose are these daughters we see turn to ghost? What are our souls that we have lost care? Ring out ye musics and weep if you dare. cries in the mud by the thatched house sand drain, sleeps in huge pipes in the wet shit field rain, waits by the pump well, woe to the world, whose children still starve in their mothers' arms curled. Is this what I did to myself in the past? What shall I do, Senor Poet, I asked? Move on and leave them without any coins? What should I care for the love of my loins? What should we care for our cities and cars? What shall we buy with our food stamps on Mars? How many millions sit down in New York and sup this night's table on bone and roast pork? How many millions of beer cans are tossed in oceans of mother? How much does she cost? Cigar, gasolines, and asphalt car dreams, stinking the world and dimming star beams. Finish the war in your breast with a sigh. Come taste the tears in your own human eye. Piteous millions of phantoms you see, starved in Shamshara on Planet TV. How many millions of children die more before our good mothers perceive the great Lord? How many good fathers paid tax to rebuild armed forces that boast the children they've killed? How many souls walk through Maya in pain? How many babes in illusory pain? How many families hollow-eyed lost? How many grandmothers turned to ghost? How many loves who never get bread? How many aunts with holes in their head? How many sisters' skulls on the ground? How many grandfathers make no more sound? How many fathers in woe? How many sons nowhere to go? How many daughters nothing to eat? How many uncles with swollen sick feet? Millions of babies in pain. Millions of mothers in rain. Millions of brothers in woe. Millions of children nowhere to go.
Wow, what a visceral presentation, what a visceral reading. Touched, so touchy. Eric, and many thanks for reciting this so beautiful, so beautiful. I'm sure the audiences are equally touched by the way you recited, and you did justice to this poetry when you read. Many thanks again.
Thank you. I'll just make a little note, which goes to what Indran was saying, and I enjoyed what he did so much, of having empathy and compassion for everyone and everything. And this morning I signed a petition, and thinking of all the suffering there, and there's been plenty of suffering in Bangladesh since. It was in order to raise money for Syria, for warning systems in hospitals, or rather schools, in schools, because in Syria, something like 30,000 children have died in the last number of years. And this money was not to stop the bombing. It was not to stop the war. It was to put in an early warning system so that schools would have 7 minutes warning before they were hit with rockets or bombs. It was so that children, little children in school, would have 7 minutes head start to run out of their schools before being murdered. So unfortunately, it's all over, and we have to think of everyone.
Thank you, Eric, again. Gunda, If you kindly, many thanks. It's an honor to have you as part of this celebration, and especially when it comes to
Thank you,
poetry on the
Ahmad
liberation
Kaisar.
war. When it comes to the poetry in terms of the liberation war of Bangladesh, your poem is so unique.
Right. I'll recite two of my poems because this long poetry reading session is going on now. Listening to one lot of wonderful poems together is some sort of pressure on the brain. So I have to show a lot of patience to listen to a lot of poems together. I showed patience. So now it will be good for health if I am allowed to get out of my patience and read out some of my poems in this precious occasions. We are talking about I'm giving emphasis more on our 50th year, 50th silver jubilee, golden jubilee of our independence. But I also want to let you know that this year is also the 100th year of the century, 100 years of our father of the nation, who gave us this freedom. So I am lucky that today this book, if you can see this book just came from the press and has gone to the book fair. Book fair is a picture of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur, father of the nation. This picture of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman has been taken from the Time magazine that was published in 1971 when Bangabandhu was freed from the Pakistani jail. And the picture, the news headline was from jail to power, from jail to power. So I took this picture. I expressed my gratitude to the Time magazine, but I could not find out the name of the photographer who took this picture, or it was drawn by some artist. You can see the book.
Yeah, we can.
For the first time, Ahmad Kaisar, for the first time, a Bengali book poetry collection is named in English.
Wow. Ode to a leader. Fantastic.
Ode to a leader. Ode to a leader.
Yeah.
I recall the famous English poet John Keats. John Keats, who wrote his famous poem Ode to a Nightingale.
Ode to a Nightingale. Yes.
Ode to a Nightingale. So I wanted to recall. I wanted to term Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman as a nightingale to John Keats.
Exactly.
So I named it in English. I named it in English, and I wrote a poem on his 100th year celebration. To this year we are celebrating the 50 golden jubilee of our independence. At the same time,
and
we
the
are also
birth
celebrating
birth
the 100th
centenary of exactly.
Birth centenary of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman.
Yes.
So I now read a poem on him.
Great.
I express my gratitude, all my respects to his other comrades who was with him and sacrificed their lives in the jail. The four national leaders who, after the killing of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman in 1975, they were taken to the jail, but they did not surrender to the killers. So they wanted to make them ministers, but they refused. So they were brutally killed inside the jail in 1975, November 3. So I recall these four national leaders and all the martyrs and people who suffered a lot to get this independence from the Pakistanis. So I now recite the poem in Bengali, though The name of the poem is in English, Ode to a Leader. Bangabandhu was asked by the foreign journalists, how do you celebrate your birthday? In 1971, 17th March, it was his birthday. He replied in one sentence, Ami amar janmodin palan kori na, I don't celebrate my birthday. So it is very wonderful to think that somebody of his stature is saying, আমি আমার জন্মদিন পালন করি না, I don't celebrate my birthday. Was our leader. পালন করতেন না, তিনি তার জন্মদিন পালন করতেন না। জন্মদিন পালন করাটাকে তিনি সময়ের অপচয় বলে ভাবতেন। তিনি বলতেন, সময় তো আর মুদির দোকানে পাওয়া যায় না, সময় কোথায় সময় নষ্ট করবার। তিনি জানতেন কাল সন্ধ্যা ছিলাম, আমরা জানতাম 1966 সালের 5ই ফেব্রুয়ারি থেকে আমরা জানতাম আর গন্তব্য কোথায়। নরক থেকে মুক্তির আশায় প্রহর গুনছিল যে জন্মভূমি, সেই জন্মভূমির মুক্তির সঙ্গে অভিন্ন বন্ধনে তিনি গেঁথে নিয়েছিলেন তার জন্মদিনটিকে। জন্মভূমির মুক্তির জন্য তিনি সময় বাঁচাতেন। বাংলার মায়েরা যেমন সন্তানকে স্তন্যদান করার জন্য সুকৌশলে সময় বাঁচান, আপনি জন্মদিন পালন করতেন না বলেই আপনার সেই অপালিত জন্মদিনগুলি এখন বছর জুড়ে পালন করছে বাংলাদেশের কৃতজ্ঞ মানুষ। জন্মভূমির মুক্তির জন্য আপনি যে সময় বাঁচাতেন, আমরা তা না বুঝলেও বাংলার নদী, মাটি, গাছ তার অর্থ ঠিক বুঝেছিল। আপনার জন্মদিনে তাই গাছে গাছে নবপত্র দল আজ বসন্ত বাতাসে দুলছে, মধুমতির তীরে তীরে দোল খাচ্ছে ফিঙে পাখিরা। আপনাকে উপহার দেবে বলে গায়ের কিষানি মেয়েরা ঝিলের জলে আলে ফোটা শাপলার পদ্ম কাশ তুলছে। আপনি মুক্তি ও স্বাধীনতার যে গান আমাদের শুনিয়েছিলেন, সে গানের সুর বাংলার আকাশ ছাড়িয়ে ছড়িয়ে পড়েছে বিশ্বে। কোটি মানুষের কৃতজ্ঞ চোখের জল, প্রাণের আনন্দ ও বেদনার সুর দিয়ে আমি আপনার জন্য এই মহিমা গান রচনা করেছি। আমার এই শব্দ ব্রহ্ম জ্যোতির অর্ঘ্য আপনি আমার এই শব্দ ব্রহ্ম জ্যোতির অর্ঘ্য আপনি গ্রহণ করুন পিতা। আপনার তর্জনী তোলা ভাস্কর্যের সামনে দাঁড়িয়ে আমি আজ নতমস্তকে কুর্নিশ করছি আপনাকে, আর অহর্নিশ জানাচ্ছি নমস্কার। A lot of people are calling me in telephone, so
No, that is understandable. That is understandable, Kunda. That is understandable.
I know, please excuse me for disturbance.
Please.
I am not going to torture you much. I will wish that you will listen to my second poem now.
Right.
How can I make them understand that I am in a live program? Bangladesh on my head side. Bangladesh on my head side. Bangla jeta Shiore Bangladesh. Shiore Bangladesh. Bangladesh on my head side. I wrote this poem when we celebrated our silver jubilee of independence 25 years back in 1996. So in that poem, I hope that I can continue to live when Bangladesh will celebrate the golden jubilee of its independence. I thank God, I thank everyone around me that I am still alive in this very auspicious moment of our life and celebrating. Though I'm confined in my house for Corona, but even I'm still alive and can read out poems and write poems if I like. So thanks to the Almighty, the nature, who was kind to me that I could see the celebration of the independence, golden jubilee, golden jubilee of our freedom and centenary of our national father of the nation. We can celebrate all together. Bangladesh on my head side. When I completed 25 years of my dreams, you were still apart. Opening my chest and ribs, I told you, take all that I possess in my heart. When I completed 25 years, you were in mother's womb, an embryo. I put you in my soul's quiver and carried you like a secret arrow. When I completed 25 years, you were still waiting for work. Since I gave priority to you over others, I allowed women to my heart. When I completed 25 years, you were then in prison. My mom, I said no even to my Suborna, who came with a dream to deck my house horn. When I completed 25 years, I took up lethal arms in my hand, went to a distant hilly forest to fight. The murder got no heart's consent. When I completed 25 years, red blood did in my bosom swell. Would it be just if I did not then try to make you free from hell? When I completed 25 years, you had no victory to remember. I gave you victory in blood and tears in 71 on the 16th December.
Thank you.
Now,
Many thanks.
now,
Please, yeah.
no. One stanza is left, and that stanza is better than the others.
Yeah.
Now today you complete your 25. Now today you complete your 25. Now today you complete my 25. Now today you completed your 25 and wear a silver crown on your trees. When at a golden 50 I will arrive, when at a golden 50 I will arrive, you will still be on my head side, Bangladesh. You will still be on my head side, Bangladesh. Thank you all.
Many thanks, Gunda. Many thanks. First of all, your recollection of the memory of Allen Ginsberg when you went there and met him, and also congratulated him for his phenomenal historical poem, September on Joshua Road. And
he himself composed the song. You see the keynote.
Wow. Yeah, I can see this. Yes. So was it composed by Ginsberg himself?
Ginsberg himself. He said in the bottom, the copyright is Allen Ginsberg.
Wow, great. So
he brought out the harmonium he got from Calcutta and sang a few lines from this historic poem.
Yeah. So thank you, Gonda, again for reading your beautiful poem, and especially the one that you
I don't know
read
how much
about-
I could translate. The second poem
Yeah.
is translated by myself. I know I'm not very much good in English, but I love this language. So I forced this baby to come out from the womb.
beautifully translated, and especially many thanks for reading the poem on the architect of Bangladesh, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and the book is getting published soon, an ode to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, or an ode to Bangabandhu. Many thanks for reading and
Thank you very much.
donating.
Thank you very much to ask me to join today's program, so I could share my pleasure, share my happiness. When this book is, I just printed and came from the press
Exactly.
just now.
So fresh to see.
So fresh, right? Yeah, I don't know. It is now in the book here.
A fresh poetry book, and that will be a treat for Bangabandhu lovers and your poetry lovers equally.
I hope so.
So
I
thank
wrote
you,
5
Gundar.
poems on- 5 poems on
Thank you,
him.
Gundar.
Okay.
Our next speaker is a pro-people politician, a tested pro-people politician, and the former Secretary of the State for Justice and Member of Parliament of Leeds East, and a wonderful friend of Bangladesh, wonderful friend of us, wonderful friend of Bengali culture, Richard Bagan, MP.
Thank you.
Richard, for joining. Over to you now.
Thank you very much, Ahmed, and thank you to everyone who's joined us today. I enjoyed tuning in via the Facebook page earlier to listen to quite a bit of the rest of today's events, and I saw a painting depicting some of the horrors in the run-up to 1971, and I heard poetry and I heard music, and it was really fantastic to be able to, as always, learn from these events organised by the Bangladeshi community. And I want to start off actually with some words by the chair, by the organiser, by Ahmed Kaiser, who said, and this is good advice to us all, wherever you come from, he said, read poetry before you sleep, read poetry when you wake up, my friends, read poetry when you are self-isolating, read when you are either in joy or crisis. Trust me, it will give you absolute remedy. And on that, and on many other things, our friend is entirely correct. And I think we've seen during the coronavirus crisis, the real importance that culture, poetry, lyrics, music, history, writing have in all of our lives. In this time of isolation, many of us have turned for solace and for inspiration to the poetry, and in particular the poetry of the communities in which we grew up, or the poetry of the communities in which our ancestors grew up. And I know that today you're celebrating the Golden Jubilee of Bangladesh independence through a focus on the culture of Bangladesh. And it's a proud culture, a culture, of course, which started far, far, far before the official declaration of independence. For example, I was very interested to learn that the first non-European ever and the first lyricist ever to win the Nobel Prize for Literature was, of course, a Bengali poet, writer, and composer, Rabindranath Tagore. And I'll return to him later because I've been doing some reading of some of his fantastic poetry. But it's great to join you all today. And I was pleased to see my friend, colleague, and neighbour, Fabian Hamilton, the Member of Parliament for Leeds North East, with you all earlier. And it's always joy. It's always a joy to learn from the Bangladeshi community. When I first became the Member of Parliament for East Leeds, which is my home, I was very pleased to take part in the Radharaman festivals. And at the Radharaman festivals organised by the Radharaman Poetry Society in the north of England, I learned about the poet and lyricist Radha Ramana Dutta, and listened to the folk music that he composed and listened to the songs that he composed. And it's fantastic that music and poetry from such a long time ago still play such an important role in Bangladeshi culture, in Bangladesh, of course, but now all around the world as well, because so many countries have proud Bangladeshi communities. So many cities in the UK and towns have proud Bangladeshi communities, not least of all Leeds, and East Leeds that I represent in Parliament, of course, even has a Bangladesh community centre in the heart of the constituency, in the heart of our community. And of course, many weddings are celebrated with the music and song of Radha Raman. And that, of course, isn't the only thing that I and others have learned about the cultural history of Bangladesh and the great writers, poets and lyricists that have come from Bangladesh and the Bangla language. For example, it was in 2019 that a very popular Bengali opera, I think it translates the title as The Class Conflict, was staged by Ahmed and others in Leeds at the Seven Arts Centre in Chapalton. And I was lucky enough to get a ticket for one of those nights and really enjoy a piece, an opera and a story which was written so long ago, written in a rural setting, but still had eternal truth for us today in different types of communities, in different types of societies. And it was the universalism of the story that made people from so many cultures go to see that performance. Of course, there were people from the Bangladeshi community there. There were people from the Irish community there. There were people from the Afro-Caribbean community there. There were people from who had been born and their ancestors had been born in Britain there, all enjoying this piece, all understanding its relevance to their lives and to this period through which we're moving now. And something which really struck me earlier, listening to some of the contributions earlier this afternoon, was the reflection that one of the participants made, that your Golden Jubilee isn't just about reflecting upon the injustices which ended in 1971. It's also about reflecting upon the injustices which still exist, that everyone needs to work together to overcome. And the injustices of poverty were mentioned, the injustices of inequality, the injustices of exploitation, the injustices of violence, and they exist, and they exist as well all around the world in most societies, and we must work together to combat those. And I do want to return in my final reflections to the person I mentioned earlier. As I say, the first non-European and the first lyricist to win the Nobel Prize for Literature, Rabindranath Tagore, the Bengali poet, writer and composer. It was in 1913 that he won that prestigious prize. What an incredible achievement. And wouldn't it be fantastic if more people in Europe and more people around the world even could learn about the story and poetry of that inspiring individual. And as part of my research for today, I actually found some English translations, because sadly I don't speak Bangla, although I might be taught by Ahmed at some point. I don't speak Bangla, so I was pleased to enjoy these poems in translation. And I've picked two, if that's okay, that I particularly liked. And the first one, I think, is very relevant when we consider the times of separation that we're living through because of coronavirus. And this poem is as follows. I dreamt that she sat by my head, tenderly ruffling my hair with her fingers, playing the melody of her touch. I looked at her face and struggled with my tears till the agony of unspoken words burst my sleep like a bubble. I sat up and saw the glow of the Milky Way above my window, like a world of silence on fire, and I wondered if, at this moment, she had a dream that rhymed with mine. I think that's a wonderful poem, and is especially relevant in these times of separation and these times of isolation, these times which, of course, will end and friends and family will be together again. But in the meantime, many of us who are separated by distance, separated by coronavirus, can join together in thought, in conversation via Zoom at events like this, but also through the mutual appreciation of poetry, culture, literature, and art. And the second and final poem that I want to read by the same author is one which I think is particularly relevant to today's event, to today's Golden Jubilee. And it's particularly relevant when we also consider the other injustices that we still need to fight today. And this poem is quite simply called Freedom, something that we all wish to have. Freedom from fear is the freedom I claim for you, my motherland. Freedom from the burden of the ages, bending your head, breaking your back, blinding your eyes to the beckoning call of the future. Freedom from the shackles of slumber, wherewith you fasten yourself in night stillness, mistrusting the star that speaks of truth's adventurous paths. Freedom from the anarchy of destiny. Whole sails are weakly yielded to the blind uncertain winds, and the helm to a hand ever rigid and cold as death. Freedom from the insults of dwelling in a puppet's world, where movements are started through brainless wires, repeated through mindless habits, where figures wait with patience and obedience for the master of show to be stirred into a mimicry of life. Again, by Rabindranath Tagore. Freedom, something that we can never take for granted. Freedom, something that we want for all the peoples of the world. And so I want to finish my remarks by thanking you and thanking the Bangladeshi community for opening my eyes to the poetry that I've just read, because it's certain that every time I take part in one of the events organised by the Bangladeshi community, I learn something else, whether it's today's event, whether it's events organised by the Radha Raman Society. I learned something new about culture, literature and poetry, which I haven't heard or read before. So for that, I thank you. We all educate each other all the time. Thank you very much.
Wow, many, many, many thanks, Richard, for your kind words again. Amazingly said. And I can still remember the time you attended our last opera, Bengali opera we staged in Chapel Allerton Seminar Center, and that is called Class Conflict in Bengali in English. But the main one for Bengali audiences, that was Beder Me Juchna. We staged that opera for global audiences actually, and many thanks to the audiences who liked, loved, and shared. And it was supposed to have a tour countrywide, but for COVID, it's supposed to be staged at Edinburgh Festival as well, but for COVID, we had to cancel it. So thank you so much to Richard for joining and these beautiful words. Let me read some audience's feedback. We are approaching to the end of today's session actually. So Uttiya Bandyopadhyay said, thank you for this lovely session. Sangeeta Bhadra, Pranam Janai. Professor Nazrul Islam, founders of the nation were the poets that were martyred anyway. Taposh Rai said, so happy to get connected with you all today. Great getting enriched with profound creative thoughts. Many thanks, Taposh Rai, as usually, for your beautiful, inspiring comments. Sanjay De, a phenomenal singer based in London, lovely, and many other comments there. Thank you very much for your inspiring comments. So let us wrap up. Actually, we have approach to the end almost. Let us have the final input or concluding comment from all of our panelists now. Let us start with John Fondan. We approach to the end, John. If you'd like to add something more.
Well, I think we've had so many extraordinary speakers. I don't think I can add very much, actually, but except to say thank you. And I'm very glad to be part of this extraordinary community, because I think that I've learned so much about the riches of Bengali heritage and Bengali culture and art. And everything I read about Bangladesh suggests that it's learning from its mistakes. It's got many problems, but it's moving forward. And I think it could be a shining beacon to the rest of the world. It has the potential to be that. And I'm very glad to be on board to welcome that, and hope it will come true soon, because we're in a dark world, so we need some shining beacons. So thank you to everybody for speaking. Glad to be here.
Thank you, John. Many thanks again. Many thanks for your kind words. Geeta ji, if you'd like to add your concluding note.
Thank you very much, Keshav ji and Shamim ji, for giving me this opportunity. And I thought this is a great way to spread peace and love amongst everyone, amongst humanity. And this love and peace in Bangladesh means let it spread through many, many more years to come. And we in UK are celebrating the 50th year now of the independence. And I hope we all come together again and live in great harmony and peace and reflect the glory and the culture of Bangladesh. Thank you very much.
Many, many thanks, Geeta ji. Eric Shilanda, if you'd like to add your concluding note, if you want to, if you have.
Yeah, I'll cut it short, because I was just thinking of different Bangladeshi artists that I've worked with through Shauda over 10 years. And I'm trying to think of names. And because there's one important one I can't remember, I'm not going to name anybody else. I've met
Lisa, Lisa worked.
Yeah, Lisa. I'm sorry, who's the woman who helped? I stayed at her place any number of times. She's got the two lovely daughters.
Pushpita.
Pushpita, of course,
yeah.
who has been doing extraordinary, sometimes dangerous cultural work,
wonderful friend of us,
and to protecting women in Bangladesh. Also somebody who hasn't done anything with Radha Rahman for a long time, but an extraordinary person and artist, Lutfur Rahman, who had been dumped by the NHS some years ago, and took his money and himself, with his money, went to Bangladesh and did screening for glaucoma and treatment, saving hundreds of people. It was no state initiative. He did it, extraordinary, and with friends. And there have been any number of other Bangladeshis and Bengalis who I've met, who I've been honored to meet. So I thank you so much, Kaisha, for bringing me into the fold, all because of an overdue library book. There you go.
True.
So thank you so much. And thank you for everybody else for their contributions.
Many thanks, Eric. Joel Mazhar, if you'd like to add your concluding note, we are approaching to the end. If you kindly unmute yourself, you need to unmute yourself first.
Okay, do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Kaisar bhai, I'm on the road. I'm in my car and it's quite noisy outside. Yet I'll try my best to. It's a I feel just I'm privileged to be here with you all and with wonderful friends, especially Gunda, Joshudhara Rai Chaudhuri, John Fondan, Eric Shelenda, you, Shamin Shahan, Shahin Mituli, and others, so many others, and those who have joined this glorious occasion. I would like to thank everybody and express my love and gratitude to everybody. And I feel just being loved. And I'm mesmerized by John Fondan. It's a very good experience. What a wonderful experience I have now today. And I have no more words to tell. Words cannot tell my gratitude. And love to everybody, love for all, and Joy Bangla.
Thank you, Joel Mazhar. Many, many thanks again. Let us have the final note from poet Nirmal. Well, before I move on to Nirmalandagon, let us have final note from the Member of Parliament of Leeds East, Richard Bagan, if you'd like to add anything in that.
I just want to congratulate you all again on today's events and say that I'm really looking forward in the future to the time when we can safely come together and celebrate these events and celebrate Bangladeshi culture, poetry, music together in Leeds and in other venues in the country. It'd be fantastic to see friends old and new together. But I think it's so important that these occasions and these subjects have been able to be celebrated thanks to Ahmed and other people through the magic of technology. So we've seen a fantastic coming together of history, poetry, music, and technology as well, allowing us to be together, even though we're all in separate rooms in different places. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. Now, Poet Nirmalandagon, if you'd like to add anything as you're concluding now. Gunda, if you kindly unmute yourself, Yeah.
When you come to me, you have somebody in between. I did not listen to Shamim Shahan saying anything. So
Shamim Shahan will say after you.
I'll come in.
Okay. Achha, what I have to say is who sang our national anthem, her name. She is wonderful. Can you tell me her name?
Sohini Alam.
Sohini
Alam.
Eh?
Sohini Alam is a London-based Bangladeshi singer.
Wonderful.
Creating the beauty of Bengali music all around the
and the second one I want to mention is I missed Mituli very much. The other day when we attended this program of Gronthee, she was also there in the screen, and I was enjoying her beauty. Today she came for a glance, sat for a while, and then she is I don't know why she did not appear again. I missed her. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gunda. Shamim Shahan, as our final, if you'd like to add your final note.
Thanks a lot, my honorable guests, for your insightful talk and readings. Absolutely grateful for your time. Many thanks to dear audience, followers, and many thanks to Poet Ahmed Kaisar. Big thanks who have watched this live session. See you soon. Live long Bangladesh. Joy Bangla. Stay alert and save life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shamshan. And this is for Gunda. Mituli is listening to you. Mituli had to leave for some other, she had some other commitments, but she definitely has listened to you and perhaps would like to see you again very soon with your solo poetry session, perhaps. That would be great. That is something that I'm looking forward to. So many thanks to all
Thank-
our audiences who watched.
Thank you all. Thank you all who poems. And it's a wonderful experience of getting together in the same platform. Studio, we could meet hearts out. So it was a wonderful experience. You arranged this is a good thing on our national silver golden jubilee of our independence, and on the great occasion of the 100th century of birthday of our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who gave us this freedom. So we are grateful to him.
Thank you,
Remember
Fondan, and thank you to all of our speakers and performers and poets who joined today and made a wonderful session of talk and poetry. And thanks to all of our audiences who shared this session in your timeline and managed to let your friends watch this session in this difficult time. And I'm sure this was, like other speakers said, it was educational for many, it was entertaining for many, many of you. And many thanks for this inspiring, beautiful comments, a stream of comments that you made. And that is inspiring for us, so that we feel a bit of inspiration, motivation to continue this journey of preaching global literature, global music for the audiences from all across the globe. So, now I would like to pay my utmost respect to the architect of Bangladesh, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who, like Poet Nibandagun said, who gave this freedom and who sacrificed his life for this country to be free. He was jailed for many years. So through this session, we would like to pay our gratitude to all of the pro-people politicians, pro-people leaders of, political leaders who knows the art of sacrificing for their people. And also, in the end, we would like to congratulate the people of Bangladesh, Bengalis all around the world, those who are watching for the phenomenal journey. The country was founded on the basis of secularism and what's that called? Sheikh Bangabandhu gave a new idea of secularism actually, and that is called interfaith. Or every religion will have the equal opportunity to celebrate and to practice their religion. And we want this idea of secularism to be established prominently, so that the other countries find Bangladesh as a role model. So many thanks to all of our audiences again, all of our speakers and poets. See you soon again. Like Shamshan mentioned before, the next session, next Saturday, we are having a great session on Latin American literature, and many speakers, poets, writers are joining from all across the globe. Academics from Latin American countries, Peruvian poet, Mexican writers will be joining on next Saturday. So please stay tuned. And in the meantime, have a wonderful rest of the evening and see you soon again. Thank you.